All right, everybody, welcome back to Beans No Ball. Close out the divisions today for our NFL preview and the best division in football in the NFC West, at least my personal take. But obviously, we'll get it started with same as always, the first place team for last year. But obviously, before we really do that, something bigger than football. It just happened yesterday. It's very important to make light of it. Our prayers go out to Ricky Pearsall. Extremely scary situation. I mean, thankfully, he's okay. He's out of the hospital. He's at home. The guy got arrested. All is good. But yeah, just thankful that Pearsall's okay.
Yeah, honestly, that's a very scary situation. Thankfully, it was a clean shot. It was a clean shot. Nothing hit too vital. So obviously, prayers up to Ricky Pearsall. But wrapping that up, let's get into it with this Niners team now. This Niners team, obviously, you're gonna expect the same thing with them for the past couple of years. You're gonna expect them to be one of the top teams in the league here. But once again, we got to see with Brock Purdy. I know once again, look, I know a lot of people still claiming the system quarterback allegations here and there, but you got to realize in some games, we saw, especially that Ravens game, you could even say the Packers game from last season. You can see when Brock Purdy, when he's under a lot of pressure and his weapons aren't supporting him, which could go for any QB. Let's be real here. He's really not going to be able to do anything right then and there. And sure, you have Ayuk back. He was basically his one last season, but when McCaffrey's not getting going, if Deebo's not getting going, let alone if George Kittle's not getting going, Brock Purdy's going to have a lot of issues, and we saw that specifically in the Ravens game.
I mean, the main thing you could talk about, sure, is, that's the argument with anyone. If you have weapons, if they're working for you, you're going to be good. I think just the thing that everyone talks about, they got mad at Cam Newton for saying this. He's a game manager, and he's not that superstar talent like Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, just to name a few like that. But he gets the job done, and if he's working in the system, good. That's great. He's gonna be their quarterback of the future. He doesn't need to be that flashy quarterback. He gets the job done, and that's the perfect thing that happened for the 49ers. Unfortunately, he's gonna keep getting all this stuff, but sometimes being a game manager isn't a problem, and for him it definitely isn't. I mean, I obviously agree with you on this the same way. I think the only thing I will say is maybe he is kind of due for a slight bit of a regression this season. I think we know Brian Ayuk might be a little rusty coming into it. I kind of did see Deebo looks like he lost a step. So is he due for a down year? Just a couple things to look at that offense. And on defense, they lost a lot of big pieces. Eric Armstead in Jacksonville, Javon Kinlaw, I don't know where he ended up, but then Chase Young, he's in New Orleans. Which Chase Young, I guess he wasn't a difference maker that much in this defense, but regardless, some big names that they did end up losing. And sure, you do pick up
Greenlaw
down.
He's also on the PUP list. Yeah, he just got put on the PUP list, pretty recently. So he's gonna miss. I think the PUP, it's what, first 4 games, right?
It's first 4, but I'd be surprised if he.
I would expect him to miss. I would expect him to miss at least 8 games, to be honest, maybe 9 games, because it's the Achilles. That's a really, really hard injury to really get over. So I would expect Dre Greenlaw to miss probably half of the season until midseason. I would expect him to return here. So that's going to take a big hit. That's going to take a really big hit in the linebacker. I mean, sure, look, you still got Fred Warner there, the really anchor of that, of the linebackers. But without his main guy,
pick up Devondre Campbell, who should be a good replacement for him.
Yeah, it's going to be a good replacement for Greenlaw. But, I would say, to fill into the shoes of what Greenlaw was doing last season, I would say it's going to take a little bit there, but without a doubt, Devondre Campbell, I think he's going to do really well with Fred Warner on his side. But I mean, that's just my thing. I think Greenlaw, I think it's going to be hard to replace what he's doing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's not a linebacker. A defensive end that you add in Leonard Floyd also going to be a big part in not only just the defensive job, but taking some pressure off of Nick Bosa, and that's going to be a big thing for this defense. So I mean, defensively, you lost pieces, but I guess you're seeing if these pieces are going to be enough to hold it down, and that's going to be the big thing for the 49ers this year. And moving into my Rams, I mean, I gotta be honest. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, this will take a minute. Look, I'm really high on this Rams team, and this whole offseason I've been talking about it. I really like the moves we've done. I mean, there's some good, there's some bad. I mean, I'll just start defensively. Obviously, the storyline, we lost Aaron Donald, but the good thing about this, I mean, somehow you lose Aaron Donald and you still got better. I mean, not because he left, obviously, but I mean, you pick up Uh, two great guys for the D line, and Braden Fisk and Jared Verse, which I'm very excited for. And then you also look at the guys that we drafted last year, in Kobe Turner and Byron Young. Byron Young, who someone that I said I really expect to have a really good breakout going into this season. I guess the only real thing that I really don't like, and it's kind of, we already talked about this when we went over the Titans when they acquired Ernest Jones. I mean, that move, I'm still not like a big fan of it, in all honesty, but look, I trust what McVay and Snead are thinking or planning on doing. So, I mean, we'll just wait to see if that was the right move. I know we do have some new guys at that linebacking position. An undrafted Omar Spates. Omar Spates was the main guy that look, I know he had a great preseason. I know McVay loves him, so I got high hope for him. I know other guys like Jacob Hummel and Elias Neal, the coaching staff are pretty high on. So we'll wait and see if they can actually have a good impact to replace Ernest. And the secondary is my only real concern, if we're being honest here. I mean, look, I love the safeties right now. I think we're relatively set there. It's gonna be the cornerbacks. And look, Trey White, I love the acquisition, but look, in training camp, he looked a little iffy. Looks like he lost a step. He needs to hold for whatever reason when we went to Oxnard for that Cowboys-Rams joint practice. And look, I mean, he was our big acquisition, and as much as I trash on him, Darion Kendrick was going to be a big part of this defense, and losing him, it is going to hurt. So defensively, I'm a little, I guess, just for that secondary, that'd be my one concern. But going into the offense, I mean, there's so much to love about this team. And Matthew Stafford's still at the top of his game, and he's throwing to, in my opinion, probably top 5 wide receiver room, if we're being honest. Guys like Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Robinson, obviously last year, who had a phenomenal, I guess you could say, breakout season, and Jordan Whittington, who I wasn't high on when we drafted him, but he had a nice preseason, had a good camp. And apart from the receivers, I mean, this run game is something that I'm extremely high on. I mean, obviously we know Kyren Williams, which the one thing we got on returning punts this year, so I really don't know what that deal is going to be. So we'll get to that when we get to that. But Blake Corum, great pick of the 3rd round, if I'm not mistaken. I'm very excited. In the moment, it felt like a weird pick, but I mean, to have this tandem at a running back with him and Kyren, I think it's going to be phenomenal. And I know
2 young running backs, even if Kyren is strictly just return punts, Blake Corum coming into the 1 spot, he's going to pick up.
Which I doubt it would end up like that, but like if that was the situation, I mean, it wouldn't even be that much of an issue.
No, because if Kyren ends up being the 1 and he's also returning punts, you would kind of think that's going to be a detriment to Kyren specifically, since he was your 5th round steal, and he's already making his way as one of the top backs in the league there. So that would already be a really big, huge loss for that Rams offense. But like you said, Blake Corum, it's a nice young 1-2 punch. They're literally a nice young duo here. But when talking about the O-line situation, your left tackles, how you mentioned Alaric Jackson, he is suspended. Your next guy, KT Levison, he's on IR. Same with your next guy, Connor McDermott, who's also on IR. So you got 2 dudes on IR here. So your left tackle.
The only thing. And I know you look at the depth charts, but I mean, guys can.
You can obviously move,
and like I see a guy like Bo Limmer, someone that squats 700 pounds. I mean, phenomenal talent that we picked up out of Arkansas, and I forget. There's another guy. I'm not the name's eluding me right now, but I mean, we got guys that could definitely fill out that spot since Alaric's going to be gone. And look, I mean, also you forget the acquisition of Jonah Jackson. That's going to be someone that that O-line's going to fill itself out. There could be some issues with the continuity once Jackson comes back, but I definitely think it's gonna be an improvement from what we saw 2 years ago, and kind of keep that progression that we're slowly building that O-line.
No, yeah, you can obviously move guys around there, but there's just some specific positions in the O-line. Some guys, you can go from left guard, like, oh, we're gonna have to play right guard this game. It cannot always be the case. I know Tyler Smith had that issue with Dallas. I think it was specific with the left guard. And the left guard, one of the guard positions that he specifically couldn't play one, but that could be like another example there. But hey, whatever McVay is doing seems to know what he's doing, especially when it comes with the linebackers. We're putting him right in there. But yeah, that goes for the Rams. Now moving into the 3rd place for the Seattle Seahawks. Now this Seahawks team, I will say this: the one thing I am high with the Seahawks team is their young defense, right? And that's kind of the one bright spot of this Seahawks team, which was last year. I mean, specifically when we're looking at the secondary. Devon Witherspoon, Julian Love, and then Tariq Woolen, who I really love Woolen in the corner spot. That's kind of one guy I'm really looking forward to watching this season here. And then looking at this front seven, I mean, you got big boy Hankins that the Seahawks did get from the Cowboys. He's a great run stopper, really great run stopper. And we see, look, every time Hankins got out of the lineup with the Cowboys, the run game for the team, they just decided to go up. He's literally the anchor. I would say he was probably going to be the anchor for this defensive front seven for the Seahawks, especially in the run game. It's going to be really big there. And then you got another guy, Leonard Williams, there backing him up at the end position. So this defense, I'm really high on this defense, to be honest. That's going to really keep the Seahawks in the game. But this offense, specifically at the QB situation, we got Geno Smith, his underdog story, phenomenal here. But he got that big contract in the offseason. But do Seahawks fans really want to put their faith in Geno Smith? I mean, worst comes to best, your second option is Sam Howell, who I'm not against Sam Howell. He was
look, we like Sam Howell. We saw some great things out of him in Washington, but ever since training camp came around, we've seen his accuracy issues. So you really see both of their quarterback options. It's not that good. At this point, I almost would have rather than keep Drew Lock to keep a better backup for the Seahawks team. You may have your own things about Drew Lock, but honestly, he got to beat the Eagles for you last year, so you gotta give him that.
That's what I'm happy about. That's why I really messaged Drew Lock right there.
I mean, I think one last thing on offense. I mean, look, as much as I'm not high on this offense, the one thing I can say is JSN. I'm definitely excited to see how he can go. And Jake Bobo, also someone that I guess a sneaky good wide receiver core that the Seahawks team does have. I guess one of the few good things on offense they have. I mean, sure they lost, I believe. Kobe Parkinson was their second option at tight end, so they lose a little bit of depth there. They still have Noah Fant, which I think he got a big contract a couple months ago. So
can't forget about Kenneth Walker too.
Exactly, that too. I mean, that run game, depends on how much the O-line holds up for him, but that run game definitely could be a factor. But I mean, as much as that defense is good, the one factor I can say is you lose an anchor in Bobby Wagner going to the Commanders. So we'll see how much leadership they end up losing with this, but I think that secondary is going to be the main thing that they're really going to hold up, and it's going to be one of their bright spots for this team. But now we move into last year in the bottom of the barrel with the Cardinals, and I'm liking what the Cardinals did in this offseason. The one thing, their late first round pick was a bit of a surprise to me. It felt like a reach, but Darius Williams, I think it was Darius Williams, I could be mistaken, out of Missouri, but unfortunately he's going to start the season on IR if I'm not mistaken. I do remember he came down with an injury, so always sucks to see that. But the big story for me is obviously going to be this offense. Kyler Murray, I'm huge. I'm really expecting him to have a really good, I guess you would call it a breakout in a way, but I could argue he really broke out in 2021, but I guess a resurgence of a breakout year in a way. And to see a great receiving option he's going to have in Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, a tight end that I'm very high on this season, and he's out for the first 2 games on suspension, but Zay Jones could be a decent factor into this offense.
No, yeah. This Cardinals team, I'm going to agree with you in here. When I was literally looking over everything, before the video on this Cardinals team, I have high hopes for them. I'm really excited, especially because Kyler Murray, spoiler alert, he's one of my candidates for a comeback player of the year. That's still to be determined here, but I'm really excited to see Kyler Murray play this season. I've always been high on Kyler since he was drafted. I believe it was 2019, right? We were 8th grade with his rookie. Yeah, so coming into our freshman year, I always supported Kyler. Really supported Kyler. Even after his comments he made about the Cowboys, I let that slide because I genuinely love Kyler as a player. He grew up in Texas. He's got to have a little love right then and there, but I really do love Kyler. The way this offense is set up here, really hope this O-line can really keep I guess the pressure off him there, but you gotta admit, he has an underrated running back player as well at James Conner, who was really a big significant factor last season. And then the rookie Trey Benson, who I think they got him up in the 3rd or the 4th, if I'm not mistaken here.
It was a mid-round pick, but
because that was one, from FSU. It was FSU, right? Because I know I was really looking into him. You should know about that already here. So I'm really gonna expect some really good things coming from this running back core with James Conner and Trey Benson. I would expect Trey Benson to get a couple steps here and there, when James Conner's taking more of the load here. But then when we're looking at this defense here, that's kind of the one thing that's kind of brings me down a bit with this defense.
I think the front seven is going to be
front seven is fine.
Well, I
I
mean,
would say
I
the
think
front
we
seven's
can
fine in
honestly
my
disagree
opinion.
on that. I mean, the front seven
Oh,
could be like the one thing for me that I guess maybe can hold them back. Because to
mhm.
me, that secondary looks, I mean, it looks a little underrated for me. They just picked up Sean Murphy Bunting from the
Yeah,
Titans, and you still got Buda Baker there, who last season we thought he
exactly.
was going to get traded. I mean, look, it could be just those two pieces, but underrated to say the least.
Yeah, I'm really high on this. I'm really high on the Cardinals team here. Just gotta wait to see. I've said my piece already on is everything. I'm really excited for Kyler and his offense here and there. He's gonna be the main guy once again. It's not gonna be no receiver. It's not gonna be no guy. It's gonna be Kyler Murray. He's gonna be the one guy to put this Cardinals team on his back after all the detriments they went through last season.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, got a lot of love for Kyler. Really hoping to see him do good. And well, let's see what we actually think about that. That wraps up our analysis. Now, my division, it comes back down to me to start off on our predictions. Now, first place in the NFC West. Call me biased, call me a homer. I don't care. I got the Rams winning this division 12-5. I mean, look, this is basically going to be our last year, true contention, at least in my opinion, the way Matthew Stafford, his career trajectory. And I think they're going to do their best to capitalize on it. Could be another fuck them picks type of trade deadline. We'll see about that. And I mean, who knows? Aaron Donald could come back second half of the season or for the playoffs. Let's just wait and see for that. But second place, have the Niners at 11-6. Still right up there. So to me, I'm thinking they could take a step back, and I mean, lucky for them, a step back in my opinion for them would only be losing one more game than last season. And I guess what my takes were on Brock Purdy. But third place, like I said, I'm very high on the Cardinals. I'm gonna have them at 9-8. I think Kyler's gonna have a sneaky MVP type season. Definitely, I don't think he'll win it, but he'll be, definitely have his best season of his career at this point. I mean, I love what they got on offense, but I think they're just gonna miss the playoffs, unfortunately. And down at the bottom, I mean, this could be a surprise to some. I got the Seahawks going 5-12. The thing for me there, I mean, the rest of the division for the most part did get better, and with them, I don't see like that much of a difference. So, and I think year one of Mike McDonald's gonna be a bit of a struggle, but that defense, they're building it.
Yeah, so well, I guess you could say our things somewhat similar here, but so my first Swiss team, unfortunately, I was really debating on this one, but I'm gonna have the Niners go 11-6 here. I know how you said about Brock Purdy, gonna have the slight regression right there and there. So I'm having to go 11-6. Unfortunately, taking the division once again. At second place, though, I'm gonna have the Cardinals at 10-7 there. Just sneak their way right into the playoffs there. I'm telling you, man, I'm having a high hopes for Kyler Murray there. I was really debating them and putting them at 11-6 as well, but I feel there's gonna be something in that, like you're talking, specifically in that defense, gonna hold them back a bit. At the next, they're gonna hate this, but I got your Rams. I got your Rams going at 9-8, dude. I think the one thing that really puts me with the Rams there is, the issues on, that defense specifically, and Matthew Stafford's age is going to start showing right there in the midseason. That's kind of the one thing I'm really looking into. I have my love for Stafford. I still think he's going to have a good season, but that's the one thing. And then one thing we can get into, the Seahawks dead last. I'm going at 7-10 there. It's another team. I think the quarterback issue with Geno Smith is going to play a big part coming into the season.
You're gonna live to regret that 9-8 prediction. I mean, hey, Stafford don't age. I mean, he takes all the hits he can, and he'll still stay upright. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see how our brackets stack up once we get into our full playoff prediction. But that is going to wrap us up for our NFC West preview. Believe tomorrow morning it'll be a full breakdown of who we got winning all the awards. Then that'll be the next day when we actually get to see who we got in the playoffs. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you like and subscribe, and we'll see you right back tomorrow morning.